So do we have to say this is Michael Heaton, writer for the Plain Dealer?
Just say who you are and we'll
Yeah.
know.
Go ahead.
I'm Michael Heaton, the Minister of Culture for the Plain Dealer in Cleveland.
Minister of Culture?
Mhm.
Okay.
Minister of Culture, that's why we picked him.
All right, we're on.
He is the Minister of Culture. So, let's talk about Cleveland. And you said you wanted to start off with a Cleveland joke.
Yes. Okay, so a Cleveland guy goes to a garage sale and he finds a lamp there. And he gets it home and he's polishing it and a genie appears. And the genie says, "I will grant you 3 wishes." And the guy from Cleveland says, "I want a beer mug that is never empty." Poof, he's got this beer mug in his hand. And he drinks it all, glug, 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 all the way down. Boom, takes away from his lips, it's full again. He said, "This is great." And the genie says, "Well, you know, you got 2 more wishes." He goes, "I'll have 2 more of these."
That's a Cleveland joke. Well, we're talking about Clevelanders. What's the soul of this city? Talk about the soul of this city and talk about what the essence of being a Clevelander is.
I think it's this weird combination of extreme cynicism and undying eternal hope. And that comes a lot from suffering through sports teams losing year after year after year.
I'm going to hop in here. Try to use as questions in your answers. Like, what?
Oh.
The soul of Cleveland.
Okay.
Blah, blah.
Yeah, that's
That'll
good.
help us.
Okay.
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 All right.
If
Anyone?
you want to do it again, go
Yeah,
ahead.
do it again.
Okay.
The soul of Cleveland. Talk about the soul
I,
of
I,
Cleveland.
I think the soul of Cleveland is a person who has extreme cynicism, yet combined with undying eternal hope. And that comes from years of teams not winning in this town.
So is it just that? Is it just that we've had this miserable history until 2 years ago or a year ago? Or is it something more about the nature of this city and it's up and down, you know, gone once the 5th city in the country, now the...
Yeah, sure, economics play a role. You know, we were, I love the story about, you know, the airline industry was going to start here, but nobody thought, no pun intended, that that would fly, you know? So Boeing moves to Seattle, you know? It's one of those, you never get me up in one of those things, you know? That sort of short-sightedness, I think, you know? I mean, what kind of a city builds itself with its back towards the Great Lake, you know? Here's a great resource, you know? And it's like, fill it full of pollution and don't look at it.
Yeah, so absolutely true. Hey, was there, you know, you're a lifelonger, right? How old are you? I don't even know.
Well, I was gone for 8 years. I was in New York for 5 and San Francisco for 5, and then, but I've been back for 30.
So why did you come back? Why did you come back to Cleveland? Say that.
I came back to Cleveland because they built the Rock Hall here, and I became the music critic for the Plain Dealer.
Is that really the
That's
key thing?
That's it.
That is fascinating. Why do you think the Rock Hall deserves to be in Cleveland?
Because rock and roll is essentially like blue collar truth telling, and that's so part of Cleveland's fiber. To love the whole Bruce Springsteen ethic. You know, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, smiling through tough times, finding a way to be happy when things aren't always great.
Yeah. So with that in mind,
He might want to say something like, you know, the Rock Hall is perfect for Cleveland because there's no voiceover to set that bite up.
but they're only going to have his clip.
I know, so he didn't reference really why the Rock Hall is perfect fit. for
Okay, so
Cleveland.
I should. You want?
Yeah, I mean,
I can say it. I'll
Yeah,
just do it
say
again.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Say the Rock.
We'll just make it a more usable. sort of-
Okay.
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 The reason the Rock Hall is perfect for Cleveland because it matches the blue-collar, truth-telling soul of the people of this town. I mean, they're really into, rock and roll represents a way to find love and happiness and joy even when things aren't great.
Perfect.
I'll shut up. Sorry.
So do you still think of us as a blue collar town?
I do.
Say it again.
I really still think of this as a blue-collar town, even if the blue-collar jobs went away. The blue-collar ethos is burned into our soul. We can't forget that. It doesn't go away. It's in our DNA.
And what is the blue collar ethos of this city?
It's the blue collar ethos of this city is work hard, play hard, and just try to get through the winter. Spring's coming.
So, since you're a lifelong, even though you were gone for those years, when you were growing up, were those the best of times in Cleveland? I mean, you're growing up in what, the 50s, 60s?
Yeah, 50s, 60s.
Talk about those years, because that seems to be, for those of I grew up here, that moved away for 26 years.
Okay.
You know, and I remember the Cleveland of that time as being a great place. You know.
Yes.
But. So
well, I mean, coming off of the '64 Browns championship game, where they beat the Colts 27-0, when everyone thought, you know, there was only one person in the media in the country who thought the Browns would win that game, and that was my dad, Chuck Heaton, who covered the Browns at that time.
Yeah.
So having my father be a sports writer at the Plain Dealer, it made me very close to the whole love of sports that this town has, and has never died, you know, despite it being so long between championships.
Yeah. Do you, maybe we're gone, do you remember the years of decline?
I do. I kind of, it was sort of why I left.
Okay, talk about that.
Okay.
Set it up with, remember the years.
I remember the years of decline in the late 70s. I left the city because just things were bleak, and that's when we sort of became the Rust Belt, you know, that rusted away, and the opportunities just didn't seem to be here, and it was tough times. And plus, we were taking a beating in the media. You know, you have the lake, you know, the river catches on fire, the mayor's hair catches on fire. What are the chances of that? Both of those things happening.
Yeah.
I just thought that I would go explore the rest of the world for a while, and you know, and things did come back. I really think with the return or the getting the Rock Hall, I think that was a huge boost. That came around '95, and that was the same time that the Indians went to the World Series. So there was suddenly things started picking up again. I mean, just almost like spiritually, you know, if it wasn't actual economically, but the economics followed the spiritual rebirth.